Coming up on Elon Phoenix Weekly, our student reporter Javik Blake is back home and investigating the sports scene where he is and how it's all changed. NBC Sports Philly host Katie Emmer joins us and talks a little bit about how the sports scene professionally has changed amidst everything. Max Negan, our faculty advisor, gives us a look into how the freelancers of sports production and how that life has changed. Our favorite producer, Manny Tobe, is back with us and gives us some insight into his internship and how all that shook up in Los Angeles. All that coming up next. Welcome to Elon Phoenix Weekly. I'm Tyler Lundquist. And once again, we are not in studio, but I am coming to you from my house in Seattle, Washington, and the rest of our student crew is scattered across the country, and we are all committed to bringing you content. Now, during this time, we've asked our student correspondents to video blog about how their hometowns are handling sports sections at their various media outlets, looking at how local TV news is filling their sports block, how the newspapers are filling up their sports page. In sports radio, are they even still broadcasting? Our Javik Blake gives us our first look.
Hello folks, welcome back to Elon Phoenix Weekly. I'm Javik Blake. Before we get going, I want to give a quick thank you and a tip of the hat to all the healthcare professionals around the world working around the clock, putting their lives on the line to help to stop the spread of COVID-19. They're the real heroes in the world today. But we are a sports show here on Elon Phoenix Weekly, so we got to take a look at this from a sports perspective. Now, sports has been stopped ever since Rudy Gobert contracted COVID-19 and tested positive on March 11, 2020, a day that will stand in history and stand the test of time. In a game between the Utah Jazz and the Oklahoma City Thunder, sports has been in a standstill. Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NHL, and MLS have all suspended their seasons. And the NCAA has canceled everything for the spring semester. No College World Series, no Women's College World Series, no March Madness, no Frozen Four, no women's basketball tournament. None of that. It's all been wiped clean. This is something we haven't seen in sports before. The last time we saw the NHL play without giving a Stanley Cup to a team that was because of a disease that was the Spanish flu was 1919. It was over 100 years ago. Last time baseball didn't play a full 162 games was in 1995 with the strike from 94 went into the start of the 95 season and they were only able to play 144 games. This is something we've never seen before in the sports world, which is why you see rulings coming out from the NCAA granting automatic relief to all seniors across all divisions. But in Massachusetts, let's start at the high school level. The MIAA, governing body of all high school athletics in Massachusetts, came out with a ruling today that the season will start no earlier than May 4th and end no later than June 28th. Now, this still will encompass a state tournament, and the maximum amount of games a team can play is 12. Which means baseball teams who would normally be used to playing 20 will now be only playing 12 games, and you need to win just half of those games to make the state tournament. But if you're a senior, it's better than nothing. It's sad to see seniors across the country have their seasons wiped away. We see it every night on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt, his senior night tip of the cap to these seniors across the country who haven't gotten the chance to play their final season. It's heartbreaking to see. And the NCAA, meanwhile, they came out with a ruling today that will allow seniors to come back, and especially looking at it from a college baseball perspective. The roster limit of 35 for next year, 2021, has been wiped away. There is no longer a limit of 35 players that you can have on your roster. The 11.7 scholarship limit has also been wiped away. Seniors can come back on a full athletic scholarship depending on the school. They can choose to fund 0% or 100% of the student's full tuition to come back to school and play. It's wild to see what's happened across the sports world. We'll take it up one more level. Major League Baseball, they came out with a ruling last week that said in the event that the season is canceled, players will still be able to receive a full year of service time, which is huge for players such as Mookie Betts, who's currently sitting on the Los Angeles Dodgers roster, 1 year away from free agency, who could potentially become a free agent after a canceled season. It's nuts to think about what's happened across the sports world, from the top right down to the high school level. Now, in Boston particularly, the Boston Globe, the paper in Boston, is running a running total every day of the amount of games canceled and affected by coronavirus across the sports. Major League Baseball, the NBA, NHL, and Major League Soccer. A running tally of the amount of games canceled for the day and the amount of games canceled in total. It is reaching above 100 for 3 of the 4 sports. The MLS, since they play weekly, it's not as high. But for Major League Baseball, the NBA, and the NHL, all reaching 100 in the next couple of days. It's crazy to think at how COVID-19 has affected the world as a whole, and it's even crazier to think how we haven't seen something like this across sports really in 101 years. The Boston Celtics, meanwhile, with Sean Green as their play-by-play broadcaster, are running simulated games on the airwaves. They're taking games, they're simulating them through a simulator, they're getting the box score, and Sean Grande, even though a line might just say Jason Tatum scores a 2-point bucket from 18 feet out, he has to come up with the whole play in general, which is a wild thing to think about. Meanwhile, on my side of things, I'm getting ready for the summer. Play-by-play broadcaster for the Wareham Gatemen of the Cape Cod Baseball League, local summer league here in Massachusetts, hoping that will still go off on June 13th when the Wareham Gatemen play the Cotuit Cavaliers in a rematch of the Western Division semifinals from a year ago. And besides that, watching old games and just like the rest of us, trying to find ways to fill time, whether it's watching old games, catching up with friends over the phone, or just spending time with our families. But it's a wild time we're living in. I hope everyone stays safe. And well, hopefully on the other side of this, we'll have some sports to talk about.
Thanks, Javik. We certainly enjoy seeing you and hearing what you've been up to since leaving Elon's campus. Coming up, we talk to an NHL host to see how her job has changed since the league went on pause. We also have time to see what I have been doing to keep myself busy here in Seattle. Stay tuned.
If I had to pick something that I'm taking from Elon, I want to take that can-do mentality. I don't think the world needs another person talking about how many problems we have. I think the world needs people who are going to go out there and do something about them.
Coming into college, I knew that I wanted to do some kind of journalism in broadcast capacity that has to do with sports.
I also come from a big sports family. Everyone else went to really big ACC schools, and I wanted that, but on a smaller scale, and Elon provided just that.
I loved their communication school. I loved how innovative it was, what they were doing here. All of the amenities they have, the studios and cameras, was super appealing to me.
I accepted Elon just because, I was kind of eager and just really wanted to just start getting into it. And Elon really gave me the best opportunity.
I just got an email after I was accepted, and they said, hey, do you want to be part of the Maroon Sports Broadcasting cohort? And I said, yeah, of course.
Being in the cohort taught me a lot of things that I didn't even know I didn't know or was even interested in. It gave a lot of really cool opportunities that I don't think I would have gotten without being in the cohort.
I was really all in and doing really everything I could, and they really kind of jump-started me in getting the opportunities I wanted.
I'm so glad I joined these organizations, not only to gain experience, but to gain friendships and also people that I can rely on and I know that I'll be working with in the future when we're all in the professional world.
We understand the grind and the hustle of being a sports video person. So these are the people that I'll continue to be friends with after school and also that are going to help me in the professional realm. I think what Elon Sports Vision can do is give them a wide array of opportunities and show them all of the different possibilities that are available in the sports video world.
A bigger school that's maybe more prestigious for sports broadcast, you would never get these opportunities because they're all professional guys or graduates that are trying to make it big and get to the next level. And so your underclassmen or your undergraduates don't have the opportunities that we're given here at Elon.
I think Elon Sports Vision is, a place where really anyone can just come and have that passion be fueled.
On Wednesday, March 11th, the NBA suspended its season after a player tested positive for coronavirus. The NHL followed suit shortly after, but offered a little glimmer of hope for its fans, only pressing pause on their season. The Philadelphia Flyers were slated to play in Tampa Bay against the Tampa Bay Lightning that night. That game ultimately was canceled, but host for NBC Sports Philly, Katie Emmer, has continued to bring content to Philadelphia fans.
My first season working in Philly, I worked for NBC Sports Philadelphia. I'm not sure if I was speaking to this class, but I was on, the same class. So still doing that for the Flyers pre and post game, just as a fresh reminder, working every single game, and all of a sudden we found ourselves leaving. We had a game on a Tuesday, and then we had Wednesday off, and Thursday the Flyers were at Tampa Bay. And I still remember, the Tuesday game, we were all tired. We're like, okay, this will be a good break. We're going to have a great game on Thursday. And everyone was kind of, looking forward to that game. That Wednesday night, for those that will remember, Adam Silver, the NBA, said season is suspended. And I'll never forget just opening up my phone. I'm sure a lot of sports fans, everyone on here today, probably knows that moment when that news hit the airwaves and the Twitter stream. And I was like, oh, this isn't good news. Standing by kind of all right, I mean, you could assume the NHL is going to follow suit. And this, of course, is a serious matter. I think everything just happened so quickly for us that it was just, you had no time to prepare. We didn't know it was happening. So all of a sudden here I am waking up Thursday, sort of thinking to get ready for the game, do my game day prep, but then getting a call from my executive producer saying, just sit her on the phone, wait, but I don't know if we're going to be having a game tonight. So it was a very interesting situation where I found myself excited for this game, but also not trying to get my hopes up because it might not happen. And little did I know it didn't end up happening. For sports, the whole transition has been, becoming a digital reporter, which I just found myself doing last year for Fox Sports in Minnesota. So now I'm finding myself coming up with creative ideas every day. The unfortunate part is you have to very much figure out sort of a home studio. I've never had to think about this really, but now I'm getting equipment. I got a ring light. I got different things, sending video in. And again, we have so many great workers at NBC Philly, different teammates that you send it to one person, they put the graphics on it, send it to another person, they put the music on it, gets done. Everybody's on the same page, which is really important during a time like this. So my jobs have evolved from a studio talent to sitting in a, I don't know what you would call this, kind of a little home office talent. So it's been quite a transition. I have been doing This Day in Flyers history, and those are a lot of work because I have to look back. Fortunately, we have a good source who works with the Flyers, and he has a ton of good history. So we're doing those little bits, which are really cool because I think fans really appreciate Flyers history, especially during a time like this. I think you really appreciate catching up on history when you can. Another thing, we have a Flyers Talk podcast, so I do that twice a week. We got our first player on, Joel Farabee, yesterday, which was really cool because it's just an interesting dynamic. Other than that, just pushing out any creative content I can think of. If we were to come back, as far as what they're projecting this summer, you're definitely probably going to see a simplified playoff format. What I would think is a best of 5, maybe the finals a best of 7, and then you have maybe a different setup for the teams on the outside looking in. So it's just all around very uncertain time.
As of April 7th, the NHL has not made any plans to return to regular operations. Now, with sports missing from the ice, the courts, and the fields, our sports landscape, well, it's pretty barren. And while the leagues figure out when they might start play again, many people connected to sports are also feeling the impact. Ticket sellers, food vendors, parking attendants, security at the arenas have all been left without jobs since sports stopped. Now, another segment that is feeling the financial squeeze of no sports is the television broadcast industry. These freelancers earn money on a game-to-game basis. And when the on-air light went away, so did the only source of income for a lot of people.
With the stoppage of sports, fans around the globe have had to deal with not being able to watch their favorite teams and athletes compete. From a sports broadcasting perspective, the crews that cover the games have also been deeply affected. This group of people are hired by the game, and for people who do that work as their full-time job, the loss of sports equals a total loss of their income. Tracy Cook was the lead editor and replay operator for the Carolina Hurricanes, as well as working a handful of other freelance sporting and corporate events.
My life changed on March 12th. We were in New Jersey doing a hockey game. We got a call saying that we were having our game canceled and we were flying back the same day. Pretty much lost all my work that day. All the college work I had lined up and hockey games lined up. Everything went away.
For Lance Stewart, a freelance camera operator from Charlotte, losing games meant a big loss in revenue.
So what I had on the books were 28 days. That includes 9 Hornet games, Turner game in Philadelphia. I had a set day and a game day for an international soccer game here. I had 5 days of equestrian. I had NCAA women's, 2 days of that, lacrosse game, a couple of softball games. So all told, I lost 28 days of work. That's travel days and game days. And I'm going to probably get paid for about 5 of those. So I've made the mistake of adding it all up and to see how much I was going to lose. And it came to a little over 11 grand. And that stings. And I'll probably see maybe a quarter of that.
Freelancers are among many people trying to navigate the system to get some financial help.
I have tried to file for unemployment. One of the hitches with that is that it asks for where the work was actually performed. And with ESPN/Disney, the work could be anywhere. I worked in Tennessee, I worked in Georgia, I worked in Texas, I worked in Florida. It's all over the place, and it won't let me put that in because it needs an actual address. So that's one of the issues. Another issue is that so many people have filed for unemployment is that the website gets bogged down and I can only get to a certain point and it won't let me go any further. So that's one of the drawbacks of trying to file for unemployment right now.
While freelancers wait for the return of sports on television to get back to work, they are finding various ways to stay busy.
I'm just trying to figure out how to get by, what to do day to day. We are in a lockdown here in the state of Virginia, so we're not able to do a whole lot. So right now, just trying to figure out when we go back to work and looking forward to it.
If I don't work for a couple of days anyway, I go a little bit stir crazy. So this has been something that I've had to deal with and learn patience and learn to find things to occupy my time. And one of the things I did was I picked up a new skill, and that skill was sewing. A friend of mine, fellow Elon alum, works for a senior center up in Pennsylvania, and they needed some masks made. And so my wife taught me to sew, and we made about 25 masks and sent up to Jennifer in Pennsylvania. I've also, I've got the tools, I've got the stuff to work out, but I just don't really have the motivation or the discipline to do that. So that hasn't worked out as well as it could be. As far as work during this time or what I'm doing for work, I had a bank gig that was supposed to happen next week that got canceled. And but fortunately, I got booked for a thing at Billy Graham Library on Friday for Good Friday. So I do have that coming in, and the way the payments are coming in for the stuff I am going to get paid for, they've been spread out enough. Instead of one big chunk payment, they've been spread out, and I've been able to get a little bit of money coming in every week or every couple of weeks. So that's helped out a lot too.
Coming into college, I knew that I wanted to do some kind of journalism in broadcast capacity that has to do with sports.
I also come from a big sports family. Everyone else went to really big ACC schools, and I wanted that, but on a smaller scale, and Elon provided just that.
I loved their communication school. I loved how innovative it was, what they were doing here. All of the amenities they have, the studios and cameras, was super appealing to me.
I accepted Elon just because, I was kind of eager and just really wanted to just start getting into it. And Elon really gave me the best opportunity.
I just got an email after I was accepted, and they said, hey, do you want to be part of the Maroon Sports Broadcasting cohort? And I said, yeah, of course.
Being in the cohort taught me a lot of things that I didn't even know I didn't know or was even interested in. It gave a lot of really cool opportunities that I don't think I would have gotten without being in the cohort.
I was really all in and doing really everything I could, and they really kind of jump-started me in getting the opportunities I wanted.
I'm so glad I joined these organizations, not only to gain experience, but to gain friendships and also people that I can rely on and I know that I'll be working with in the future when we're all in the professional world.
We understand the grind and the hustle of being a sports video person. So these are the people that I'll continue to be friends with after school and also that are going to help me in the professional realm. I think what Elon Sports Vision can do is give them a wide array of opportunities and show them all of the different possibilities that are available in the sports video world.
A bigger school that's maybe more prestigious for sports broadcast, you would never get these opportunities because they're all professional guys or graduates that are trying to make it big and get to the next level. And so your underclassmen or your undergraduates don't have the opportunities that we're given here at Elon.
I think Elon Sports Vision is, a place where really anyone can just come and have that passion be fueled.
Welcome back to Elon Phoenix Weekly. As we did earlier in the show, let's check in with another sports correspondent. Our Emmanuel Tobe is back with us, and he reports on his internship in Los Angeles prior to the COVID-19 pandemic and how they might be struggling going forward.
Hello, my name is Emmanuel Tobe, and welcome to Elon Phoenix Weekly. Regarding the coronavirus, one thing that I'm both interested in and just kind of following throughout this pandemic is the whole programming or scheduling of sports, not just going on right now, but also in the future. Regarding some background, I just came off of an internship with Fox Sports out in Los Angeles, and I was working in their programming and scheduling department looking at college sports. And we were really in the thick of it when the coronavirus was coming up and a lot of different events were canceling, and there was a lot of running around and a lot of just kind of unknown of what's going to happen with sports now, as well as trying to be creative and come up with new ways and new things to get people to watch right now, especially with the amount of people who are here at home. I've been really impressed looking at things that Fox Sports has done with esports and trying to take advantage of that market and bring eyes to that. They just hosted 2 FS1 NASCAR events through esports, and the one that was March 22nd was actually the most watched esport event on Fox programming. And also looking at what ESPN is doing with their broadcast of WrestleMania 30, 32, and 35, and doing that as a way to take advantage of an audience being at home and an audience that isn't really watching their sport live on television with WWE. They have Fox, which is on, they have SmackDown, which is on Fox, and Monday Night Raw, which is on the USA Network. But the WrestleMania programming has never been on television. It has always been either on pay-per-view or the WWE Network. So it's been kind of cool to see ESPN work with wrestling to get WrestleMania on the ESPN channel. And like I said, just seeing these networks try to be creative with their programming, I am curious to see how this is going to impact the future scheduling. Because when I was at Fox, one thing that we were looking at scheduling, or one thing that we were in the process of scheduling, was the 2020 college football schedule. They schedule a lot of events 6 months to even a year in advance. So one thing that I'm curious to see is if you have, like, let's say the NBA, who they have gone out and said that one of their main goals is to finish, is to at least have a playoffs. So let's say you have the NBA that gets pushed, even to the fall. Then they're competing with the NHL, which could get pushed. They're competing with the NFL, college football. And I'm wondering how these networks are going to schedule all of these different events kind of around each other. And especially when you look at these contracts that they have with, the sporting events, but also the different conferences and stuff like that, I feel like it can get very sticky, and I wouldn't want to be in, a network's shoes and trying to figure out what programming they're going to show if we're looking at a situation where the big four sports, the NHL, the NFL, the NBA, and Major League Baseball, if they are all at one time, So that's something that's going to be very interesting to see how, all these networks try to kind of work around that in the future. And I'm just curious to see how it impacts television as a whole. In 2019, 93 of the top 100 broadcasts regarding most watched were sporting events. There was only 7 non-sporting events that were in the top 100 most watched broadcasts in 2019. So sports are such a huge part in cable television and traditional viewership. Sports are something where, you can't really put it on a streaming service. It's tough to put it on a streaming service, or it's tough to record and binge watch a sport. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's going to be interesting to see how, with sports being moved and shifted, to see if there's an impact or an influence on television as a whole, which right now has kind of been leaning on sports with the amount of people who are cord cutting and going to streaming services. So that's my take on it, and I think it's just going to be very interesting to see.
Well, it will certainly be interesting to see how the different leagues will figure out programming, especially since a lot of them might be playing games at the same time. Now, I bet you're all wondering what I have been doing to keep myself busy here at home. And since we don't have Tellier's tutorials, we shift to Tellier's antics. Some of them are fairly mundane, such as walking the dog or just simply watching him bathe in the sunlight. Now, here's a little bit what I've been up to with my dog here at home.
Sir, you've had a very relaxing day so far. Can I get your thoughts? Yeah, it's been pretty good so far. A lot of sunshine, great to be outside. So I haven't had a big of a walk today. I did, however, go over to see Grandma this morning, which was really fun. So good to see her. She always gives me good treats. And looking forward to the day. What's your next activity? I'm really looking forward to getting back in bed and, looking up at the sunshine like I do. I really tend not to care about what people around me are doing, so I'm just going to stick to me, play my game, and we're going to see how it goes. Thanks for your time. Thank you.
There are guys outside. They are making it rain, but it's so sunny. I don't know what they're doing. I constantly feel the urge to bark at them because they are intruders. Oh, I don't know what to do.
What are you doing?
Oh, you smell that? Absolutely nothing. Yep. Oh, I found another spot. There it is. Someone's been here. Someone's been here. All right, I'm being pulled away. There we go. Here we go. Back to the road. And we're going. And we're going. This is exactly what I want. I love my day off in quarantine. Love to get outside.
Oh, and Biscuit certainly is a character, and I'm grateful that he puts up for all of my crazy antics. Now, that's all the time we have on this episode of Elon Phoenix Weekly. We thank you for joining us, and we hope that you are all staying safe, staying home, and doing your part to flatten the curve, as we are all a part of our EPW crew. Thanks again for joining us. We hope to see you next time right here on Elon Phoenix Weekly.